Hey, everybody. This is Vija Williams, president of Ben Kinney Keller Williams, and I am so excited to welcome you to my 2022 business planning session. It's actually not mine, it's ours with the amazing Debbie Grote of Forward Coaching. Debbie, welcome. We are so happy to have you with us.
Oh, thank you. Of course. Always happy to join this group. They are the super fun, super lively, and obviously ready to get the party started for 2022.
That's right. You're so right. And I think this is our third year, Debbie, doing this session for our Ben Kinney brokerages and our friends joining us and guests from other brokerages. And I just kind of wanted to start off by saying a couple of things kind of about me personally and how my success has been largely driven by writing down my goals in a business plan. And I don't, it's not about my, it's just that I have such a personal attachment to this. It's a passion of mine. And so I thought I'd share, I took some time to reflect on this because this is a big deal to me. Business planning is a big deal to me. And I took some time to reflect and I kind of wanted to share with everybody a couple of things that it's done for me in my life and my various businesses that I'm involved with, taking the time up front to write a business plan. And the first thing I want to share, and I know you know this, Debbie, is that people are 42% more likely to hit their goals if they write it down. There's been a lot of studies around that. I think there's other statistics as well, but 42% is kind of the one that comes up the most, right? And I think there's a lot of reasons why, right? I think that it's not one thing. I think it's a multifaceted, constellation of reasons. And I've really kind of narrowed it down to four for me, right? And the four reasons and I guess benefits, whatever you want to say, of what it's done for my life is that anytime I've taken a big, complicated, hairy, audacious goal, a big, massive problem that feels overwhelming on the other side, and I've taken the time to back into it and break it down into really simple, actionable steps. Anytime I've done that, I hit the goal. It's too much to say I'm going to sell 48 homes in a year. I'm going to sell 36 homes in a year. But anytime I say, well, I'm going to sell 3 homes a month, and this is how, and I'm going to back into exactly what I have to do every day to get there, that's when I've done it. Right?
Absolutely.
And so I just think that correlating these big, hairy, audacious goals and these big, complicated problems, correlating them down to, at the end of the day, what do you do when you wake up on a Tuesday morning? Mm-hmm. And no one's telling you what to do, and you don't have a supervisor leaning over your shoulder necessarily. For those of you not on teams, correlating the pain that you might go through to make those 10 calls that day, if you don't feel like it, but understanding how that ties into the 3 sales a month, the 36 homes a year, and the, $250,000, $350,000 that's going to bring you, and what that's going to do for your family, and the school tuition or the trips or the houses that's going to buy. That's how I've hit my goal. It's the only way I've been able to kind of push through the pain of the daily activity, right? So that was just the first thing. I think the other one, Debbie, the number 2 of 4, is that I want to be unfocused, right? I am really easily distracted by shiny objects. I'm really easily distracted by, I want to make things better. If I see something around me that needs fixing, I'll immediately get distracted by that thing, right? And writing down a clear and concise business plan has always helped me stay focused. It's always helped me take that most important time and energy of the day and put it into, the things that really, really matter. And we're going to talk about that today and how they can, right, how they can determine those things. But it really helps me stay focused. And I feel like a lot of you guys joining us today, you're real estate agents. And if you're a really, really great real estate agent, you might be wired in the same way I am, which is that you might.
Which is most, right?
Which is most.
Yes.
It's good. Yeah, I embrace it. And you might need to stay focused, right? And so writing it down and getting as specific as possible can kind of help you with that. The third thing is, and this one might be kind of an aha for some of you guys, but I've learned over the years that having a very specific written business plan reduces my stress level.
Mm-hmm.
It reduces my decision energy. I don't have to like recreate the wheel and make decisions every day about what I should do. I know what I can do. It also takes away that emotional feeling of like going out of my comfort zone and taking risks every day, because it puts me in a mindset of just working the plan, right? It helps me understand that, brain, you're just working a plan. Here's the plan, follow the blueprint, follow the playbook, right? And it puts me in a different state of mind, and there's no decision. I don't have to think, right? And it's really, really helped me over the years, just kind of reduce that anxiety and stress level. And frankly, that decision energy that I use every day, picking out my clothes, because I will never be the person that lays out my clothes the night before. I've tried.
Oh, I try.
It's not going to happen.
It doesn't work, right?
Debbie, I have tried so many times, and it's just, God bless it, it's not going to happen, right? So I'll use my decision and making energy with my clothes, but I don't want to use it with how many calls I'm making, right? And who I'm calling, and what I'm saying. And then the last thing is, and I know that you and I are both very aligned with this, is when I have a goal, I can break it down. We're going to talk about seasonality today, but yes. I can find benchmarks and I can track my progress. And I know if I'm pacing ahead or behind, and I know hopefully in weekly increments, maybe monthly increments, but at least I'm not finding out 2 months before the end of the year that I have 18 deals to catch up on, right? That would be impossible. But if you can kind of catch up on a weekly basis, you are so much better off than if you're even waiting a month, than if you're even waiting a quarter or 6 months, right? And so I've found over the years that if I take the time out to write the plan, and then I can look at the benchmarks, I should sell, 8 homes in Q1, and then I should sell 10 homes perhaps in Q2 because of seasonality, maybe, right? If I sold 7 homes, okay, I need to sell 11 in Q2. That's a lot better than getting into November and saying, like I said, I have to sell 18 homes, right? So it's really helped me kind of pace out, and be more likely to hit the goal.
My very first broker, I wasn't raised like Ben. I didn't come from a wealthy family, quite the opposite. So I wasn't raised to set goals. And my very first broker said, we're going to write down what your goals are. But he said something important that I would just like to add before we dive in. He said, don't write it down and put this away in a drawer. You have to look at this. He said, I want you to make sure every Sunday night you're reviewing your full business plan. And then he encouraged me, maybe something fun for all of you, to take an index card and just write the top 5 things. So that might be income, number of units, number of contacts a day, something big I want to buy or do or achieve. You need to tape that to your bathroom mirror, tape that to your dashboard, tape it to your phone. In other words, just keep that alive, right? So all year you're going back to that. And Vija, to your point, in coaching, we definitely encourage people, do not become unaware of your numbers, your progress, because if you're pacing far ahead of your goals, why not raise them, right? And take advantage of the wave. If you're falling behind, then what adjustments need to be made? Because it's like setting the course for, I'm here in Newport Beach, if I were going to Catalina Island and my compass setting is 1 or 2 degrees off, I would never even see the island, right? So they can just have those little things they do not do that accumulate. And then at the end of the year, they're so far from their goal. And then the last thing, I've had people say to me, I had a lady that I spoke to last week. She said, I want to do 100 units next year. And I said, well, how many did you do this year? Well, about 24. Well, I'll keep it short because we have a lot to do. But I discovered there wasn't like a builder account or she just added a team. I said, I'm curious, how did you arrive at that number? Well, I was in a business planning meeting. Everyone was throwing out these big numbers. I thought I needed to fit in. So I would encourage everyone, please don't do that. As you're going through this today, don't make it easy on yourself, because you are entrepreneurs. You need to strive. You need to press. We need to take advantage of market conditions. However, make sure the number you pick is your number, the number you're prepared to fight for, to sacrifice for, because it, success does come with some price. We don't want to sacrifice all life. However, don't pick a number just because it sounds good, right? Or you won't be committed, right?
I love that so much, and it's so important.
And Vija, I think you're going to get to all of them.
Everyone should have it. They should have it. And that's Perfect. What we're going to pull out, Debbie. And, just as a reminder, this is one of my favorite Yogi Berra quotes. You know it. I bet you know it. I bet you can predict what I'm going to say. If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up somewhere else.
Yes.
So what we're going to do today, right now, we're going to do it lickety split. We're going to, you've already been given the packets, right? Which, I know some of your personalities, you've already I don't need this. I'm just going to fill it out. Okay, fine. We're going to walk you through it.
Right.
I recommend listening. This won't be, we're going to summarize it. We're going to just go over it because it's yours. It's yours to go over. And then a lot of you guys are watching together right now. Shout out to all of our offices who are together. I'm so excited. It's fun to know you guys are all doing this together, and your team leaders, your productivity coaches are all there right now to help you go through this. And our goal, do not leave that office. You leave your living room, your kitchen, wherever you are. Do not leave without at least as much of this completed as you can.
Yes.
Commit to yourself. Do it right now. You can always edit it. You can always date it. You don't have to marry it, but sure. Get something down now. Okay. With that said, Debbie.
I think that's a great point, Vija. The old saying, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?
Yep.
So my encouragement would be for all of you that what I'm going to do is we're not going to work on every page together. We don't have the time to do that today, but I'm going to highlight a few things, give you a few tips. And maybe as you're looking at that page, you can start to just jot a few numbers just to break the ice, so it's not as daunting to come back to it later. What I've been suggesting to our coaching clients is that they set aside 30 minutes to an hour of quiet time a week between now and Christmas. And they just sit down with the plan and say, now I want to go back. I want to finish page 1. I want to go back and fine tune page 2. And then they can come back right before Christmas, Vija, and say, does it all look great? Am I super excited? Now I can get this printed. I have a copy, and also share it with those who are supportive of you. And I put emphasis on that because you may have people you love in your family or your friends, but they're not big thinkers. They are not entrepreneurs. And you tell them, here's what I'm going to do in 2022. And they start to say, but what about this? And what if that happens? And what if inflation? And wow, that's a big number. And it starts to put doubt in your head. So once you get your plan in your hand, accountability is a must, whether it's a coach, a team leader, manager, broker, a great friend. Just make sure there's someone that understands success and will be supportive of you, right?
I love that. Yeah.
So first page, guys, it is the short-term business plan. This one is a must, and I want you to think about this a couple of ways. One, I know that last year holidays were not super fun because COVID did not allow you to travel or be with your family. So I'm sure you have some holiday plans this year and you should enjoy them. So when you're looking at that short-term plan, go to the calendar and count up how many days do I need off to be with my family? What are the remaining days that I will work? And then commit to actually working, not dabbling, not getting distracted, but actually showing up each day and maximizing those income producing hours in the day, right? And so that would include figuring out, what do I want to earn in that time period? How many transactions do I want to do? What actions or activities will it take? So let's get a short-term plan in the can And that's going to make it a lot more likely. There you go. You see it on the screen.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I had a little technical glitch.
That's okay. No problem. And you'll notice at the very bottom, projects to complete. So for example, I'm finally going to start using my CRM, right? How many times have you said that? Now let's do it. Or I'm going to talk to all of my past clients or pop by my top 10. And what are all the benefits I will receive when I complete this plan? And really, you truly have a choice today to either be sitting there on December 31st, feeling so excited about the pendings, the opportunities that you stuffed into your pipeline because of the great conversations you'll have between now and the end of the year, right? And our good friend Ben Kinney always says, this is the time, stuff as many conversations in your pocket as possible. So get that done. You should be able to do that today without any problem at all. And then you can start doing your countdown. So then if we go to the next page, which is actually the 2022 beginning of the business plan. So what is your mission statement for your business? What's the vision? We love to ask clients when they come to us for coaching, where do you imagine yourself? Where do you visualize yourself 5 years from now? Because we feel that when you have that vision, then through your planning, through coaching, we create that roadmap that step by step, brick by brick, builds that path to achieve that vision. So it is 5 years away. Go ahead, dream big, be a little wild, don't limit your thinking, right? Vija, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, there is something I'd like to add. And it's kind of tying into this and going back to something you just said. I remember doing, Debbie, a behavioral personality kind of a test years ago. I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years ago. And a lot of us are wired similarly. If we're all watching this together, we're probably a very similar behavioral style, successful real estate agents, right? And I just want to emphasize something Debbie said. A lot of this, we are not wired to sit down for 6 hours and do this. That's not how any of us are wired, right? And so what I like about this format, and the reason that every year I keep teaching you guys this particular business planning format, is that you can take the time to spend 30 to 60 minutes once a week, like Debbie said, every week between now and the end of the year. Because guess what? Your activities aren't ceasing.
Right.
It's not like, the calls don't stop. I mean, make up a number and do your calls and keep doing what you're doing. Right. And that's why I like the short-term plan, like don't stop between now and the end of the year. Take the time to build the clarity and build the plan for next year. Yes, the activities have started. I understand they started October 1st. I get all that stuff, but don't lose this year and don't rush the planning just because you feel like, well, I'm already into next year, because everything we do is 90 days out, right? So when it comes to mission, vision, values, it's something I used to always put off. We're just not wired that way. It's like, what are the numbers? How many houses do I have to sell? And it wasn't until I did my mission, vision, and values that I truly started my team and my life changed. And it's changed over the years. I know I say this all the time, but data, you don't have to marry it. We all get so stuck that this has to be perfect, cemented and chiseled in granite, never to be changed. And now pick something that feels right. Try it on for size, see if it drives you, see if it moves you, see if it helps you sell the vision to others and or yourself and or your family. And if not, just change it. It's okay. Have a North Star rather than nothing. Just throw something down. Don't be perfectionistic. That's what I'd like to add.
And, we think about values before we turn the page here. I am encouraging our coaching clients to expand their range, reach, and influence in their community, and to do that by delivering valuable content, educational resources, wealth building, conversations, helping your clients find their next real estate opportunity, which is such a great gift you can give them. And granted, you would earn a commission along with it. And yet that doesn't change the fact that it's valuable. So Vija, I think that takes us to the next page, which is the big why. Now, funny, sometimes high D super driver personalities will say, I don't like this part. It's too fluffy. It's too touchy feely. Everyone has a why, right? So your why might be, I need to do this. I spoke with a lady this morning that joined coaching. Her and her husband, they're very well off. They retired from the tech industry. They have plenty of money. She said, I golfed for 2 years. I got bored out of my mind. I need to do this for my personal achievement and success. That's a big why. I need to do this because I have 5 kids and I need to get them through college. That's a very big why.
Yes, it is.
You all have that, you all have that big why. And when I think of it as the anchor, whereas I maybe don't feel like doing what I should be doing in a day, I can go back to that big why and say, this is why I set this goal. This is why I need to do this.
Yeah. I agree. It's just what gets you through the hard stuff. And I totally agree with everything you just said, because I've had agents on my team that truly legitimately are driven by big worldwide problems and changing the world. And I literally have one of my top agents. She was like, my sister's getting married next year in India. And I don't know if you know about Indian weddings, but it's 5 days of outfits and parties. And it's really expensive. These are gorgeous saris and everything. She goes, literally, I want to have a new outfit every day and whatever. That drove her. Friday night, she was working, for her sister's wedding. So it doesn't matter what it is that year. Some years it's more deep than others. Sometimes it's honestly, it's pretty, pretty shallow, but whatever drives you.
Well, I had a client that retired recently to live her dream, which was she earned $1 million a year, lived on 200,000 and put the rest in an account to build an orphanage in Vietnam.
I love
she now
that.
Retired to go run that. So it doesn't have to be about a mansion and a yacht, right? It can even be about creating a legacy business for your family to step into. So give a moment of thought to this, just because, again, that can be your touchstone. Someone asked me the other day, Debbie, you've done 90,000 plus coaching calls over 20 plus years with some of the best in the industry. What's a common denominator? I said, amazing producers do what others know they should do, and they just don't do it. But the producers do it.
That's right.
Big why. So then we can go to the transaction goals. So this is where we're going to measure, what were your actuals in 2021? So you can estimate. For the most part, I think you'll be able to get pretty close to figure out where, with my pendings and anything I put under contract. Obviously, if we're going to close it, you're probably going to need to get it under contract no later than the 1st of December at the very latest. So, actuals, estimate where you're going to end up. And then, of course, the 2022 goals. And I often backtrack on this one. I'll give you an example of what I mean, guys. So guys and gals, we were talking about this in a meeting with Ben the other day. Y'all. So on the listing sold and buyer sales, certainly listings are the name of the game. There's nothing wrong with buyers. Go into the year, though, planning to try to push more towards an increase on your listing production. Where you have the listings, the buyers will come. Yet next year may shift a little. I would still say for the most part, you could probably bet on selling 95% of what you take. So if you say, I want to sell, 28 listings, well, how many then do I need to take? I don't have my calculator here, but let's say it's 30, right? Or so. And then I know that I can take 75% or 50% or 80% of what I go out on. So then I can back it into how many appointments do I actually need. Now, if you're just starting in the planning and you did not track your numbers last year, this year, you're not sure, then be on the low side, be safe. You kind of know instinctively, You might say, well, if it's people I know, it's 85, but if it's strangers, it's 50. Okay, then find something in the middle, but be conservative. That way you'll have enough, right?
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over this with Debbie. I'm going to just for a few minutes afterwards, I'm going to show you a couple tools that your team leaders and coaches and our people are going to share with you. We have a calculator for this. So it's basically an Excel spreadsheet. I'm just going to briefly show you guys how to log stuff in and how to make this really, really quick. Right. And to Debbie's point, if you're new, if you want to be a go-getter, put the pressure on the units. I'm always extraordinarily conservative. So low ratios, low purchase price, I almost pad it. It's like a psychological thing where I make myself like, I could probably sell 75% of the units I set for myself every year and I would hit my income goal. Right. So I'm always like padding it. It just depends how you're wired.
Well, and the good news about going to the low side of your average sales price and basing it on units is that when you get those occasional larger deals, think of that as the icing on the cake.
Right.
I'm always concerned when someone's attached only to the volume, because then if you get a few of those deals that are bigger, it might tend to make you more complacent. Right. Mm-hmm. And let's face it, guys, we don't know, every day in real estate's a new adventure. Every year's a new adventure. So make hay while the sun shines.
That's right. That's right.
Now on the next page, and Vija did talk a little bit about this a moment ago. See, some of you have very seasonal markets. So I'm here in Newport Beach. It is sunny and 84 degrees today. And that's pretty much how it always is. So we don't see a lot of seasonality, maybe a little bit of slowdown in June when kids get out of school, maybe a little bit of slowdown when they go back or at Christmas, not much. And yet some of your markets are significantly impacted. We do coach a lot in resort markets, especially luxury resorts. So if it's a ski resort or lakefront community, you may see those surges in your year when people are in town. So keep that in mind, that if that's the case for you, then each quarter may not be the same, right? So you want to approach it with a realistic view of it.
Totally. Yes. For our Puget Sound brokerage agents that are here, my typical advice on this is Q1 is the lowest percentage. Q4 is the second lowest. It'll toggle depending on you. Q3 is typically my highest. With that, Q3 is my highest. And then my second highest is Q2 is my highest. Q3 is my second highest. With that said, almost like clockwork, July tends to be my number one closing month, revenue month. June is not often far behind though. And so that obviously June's in second quarter and July is in third quarter. September tends to be a really down month for me. My database tends to go away in August, and that affects my September. But then everyone comes back and lists with me, and then we have a pretty good fourth quarter. So that's I think a fairly good rule of thumb for the Northwest. Q1 is lowest, Q4 second lowest, Q3 and 2 and 3 are going to be your highest, somewhere in there.
Well, and a thought that occurred to me as you were saying that, when you know the months that are incredibly busy for you, unless it's a wedding or a funeral or an absolute emergency, those are probably
no
not
vacations.
the best months to go on vacation.
No, I tell that all the time.
You want to plan wisely around that. Just like here at Forward Coaching, we close between Christmas and New Year because we know that any of you who are coaching with us, you don't want to be coached in that week. And we also know nobody's going to show up for a webinar. So just use your judgment and common sense. And then also, I think it gives you some peace of mind where you're watching that going, okay, this is normal for our seasonality, and I'm prepping for the really big months ahead.
Yep.
right?
Yeah. And for those of you with kids, we always plan our summer vacations on 4th of July week because it's a really slow real estate week. And so I don't feel like I'm missing too much, but my kids get us, in the summer if we want to go away. So,
yep, we always have done the same. So the 10-10-10 daily tracking form. All right. This is your own personal form of accountability. You should make sure you're tracking each day. That way you can end that day looking at the progress. And when you think about that compass setting to get to your goal, so if you have a goal of my minimum standard is at least 50 conversations a week. So 50 good quality conversations about real estate, whether it's eye to eye or ear to ear. And now it's Friday and you're at 40. Well, how are you going to make up the 10 that you're missing? Are you going to make those up on the weekend, which would be ideal, right? Not carrying that baggage into the next week. As a very minimum, though, then you would say, wow, I'm 10 behind. I have to add 2 additional conversations each day of the next week. So 10 eye to eye or ear to ear conversations, 10 texts, which, by the way, text to create a new opportunity, not just a hi, how are you, thinking of you. And then 10 emails, same thing, to chase or follow up on or to create a new opportunity. And, action items. What must I get done today? A friend of mine owns a huge battery company. It's national. He has like 1,500 employees. He's so busy. And I said to him, how do you always seem so calm? He said, every day I write down my 5 big rocks, right? Or in this case, your 5 action items. And he said, I know that if I can get those things done, it's not everything I'd love to do. Those things, though, will make a difference. And then if I have extra time, I can add additional big rocks, right? So 5.
That's my thing next year. I'm going to commit to that next year. I woke up thinking about that. I really need to do better at that. So you all can help keep me accountable.
Okay, perfect. And project systems and operations. We want to run that business by design, the life by design. We want to have those systems and models that create a predictable business. Obviously, if you're part of the Ben Kinney world, this is nothing new to you, right? You've heard this many times. A book I was given probably 20 years ago, The E-Myth, The Entrepreneurial Myth by Michael Gerber. And in that book, Michael said, the E-Myth is all about the fact that just because someone is a phenomenal entrepreneur doesn't naturally mean they're going to be adept at creating systems and processes. And yet without it, his point is you will never have predictability. So I just spoke to a great agent today in Beverly Hills, but he said, you know what? I have been willy-nilly, was his phrase, flying by the seat of my pants for years. And it's creating so much stress and anxiety. I need those systems. So pick the systems that you need to implement and have in place by the end of the year. Now, then we go into our marketing section. So this is where you start to lay out, who am I going to prospect to? Who am I going to market to? What are going to be my primary areas of focus? So we can lay that out. I love Ben's phrase. It came up in the meeting that I recently had with him via, you'll laugh when you hear this, agile planning. Okay. So Ben's point was when it comes to marketing or events, agile planning, for example, you might know what you are going to send out in your geographic farm in January. However, if you suddenly get a bunch of new listings, agile planning, we're going to market those. If something changes in the market, it's still good, though, to have that plan and that structure of what's that marketing template. And I think we continued on the next page, Vija, with a couple of additional categories, whether it's email, frequency, Are you going to target downsize people? Are you going to target move up people? So you have several plans here that will help you. And if you have a great assistant or a VA, then what you would want to do is write who is responsible next to each of these items, set your budget, and what are you personally going to be responsible to do. That way you've got your marketing system mapped out and ready to go.
Yeah, I love this. And I would encourage you guys to fill this out. We're going to go over a couple of our specific tools after this, where we're going to take this and use it as the data effectively. And I'm going to teach you how to do what we call a GPS, goals, priorities, strategies for this. But this is the meat of it. This is where your content and this is where you dump everything on this worksheet today. And then I'm going to help you build something else that I think is great. It's called a GPS, and then it moves into what we will call a 411. And that's how you move it onto your calendar. So we'll take a few minutes after we're done with Debbie to kind of go over those specific tools to us. And you should have samples in your packet today.
So then we have a few pages here of what is a skill evaluation. Okay.
Oh, that's great.
All the key categories of the business. Often, people wonder, what is the secret to making more money in less time? Well, there could be a lot of formulas. It could be more effective marketing, having leverage for yourself. Also, though, improving your conversion ratios. I often do a webinar, how to close 98.2% of the prospects that you meet. And you might say, well, why not 100? Well, there's 0.8% that you don't want, right? You're a little crazy.
Amen, sister.
You just don't want them. However, the majority of the things you go out on, of course you would want them. Is 98.2 possible? Maybe, maybe not. And yet you always want to strive to get to that promised land, to break your own personal best record. So where are the gaps in the skills that if you improved those gaps, your new year would be much smoother? So scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I'm perfect, right? 1 is help me. Find your 3 or so that are the lowest scoring. Start with 3 and say, what are the 3 that I'm most challenged in? And then what are the 2 or 3 things I can do to improve in those categories? And reach out, to your team leader, to your broker manager, to Vija, to us here at Forward Coaching. If you're confused about what to do about that, in fact, my email, super easy, Debbie, Debbie, Debbie at forwardcoaching.com, and say, hey, you know what? This money and profit is such a struggle for me. What do you think I should do? Ask us questions. We will help you. Somewhere, someone today is practicing and honing their skill. And if you are not also working on your skill, when you meet them, they just might beat you, right? So
love that. And I'm here too. I'm always here to help. Your team leaders are here to help. We're all here to help. So as much as you guys, I know you can't do it now because we're talking and we're walking through this, but when we're done with this webinar, I urge you all to take the time to do as much of this as you can. I do want to touch on the next segment of this. Now, the next segment of this, you may not be able to do in this particular sitting. I know that when I did this for the first time, which wasn't that long ago, it was in 2019, it was the end of 2019. And I had to be at home. I had to have access to a bunch of financial data and everything. Because of course, Debbie, we're talking about the net worth tracker. Right. So do you want to just kind of give an overview of this? Is there anything that jumps out as trouble spots or? Yeah,
I think a couple thoughts, guys, on this. Don't avoid this. It's very interesting that sometimes real estate agents don't like to look at their money. They like to make the money. They don't like to look at the money or talk about the money. And you see reality step. You might have a situation like I have. My husband, Don, is fabulous with managing the money, dealing with the CPA, the trust attorneys, talking to the CFO. He does all of it. So it would be very easy for me to be completely clueless. And many of you have spouses or partners or significant others who do this for you. Make a promise to yourself that every month you're going to visit your money, because you need to be in reality. You need to know what's in the bank, what's in the pipeline, big expenses coming up. And if you have a partner in this with you, it's not fair to leave it all on their shoulders, right? And we want to look at, what am I actually earning, not what I'm grossing, because Vija, you and I have seen agents spend what they're grossing without thinking, well, it's got to go to the brokerage, it's got to go to tax. And now, oops, I think I've overspent. Right.
Well, I've been guilty as charged. A lot of you guys know my story. It's on my Empire Building podcast. There's an episode on there. If you don't, that we'll link up in a chat. But we're going to do a deep dive on wealth building and real estate investing here in December and January. And that's what our webinar is going to be focused on. So we will deep dive more into this. I'm going to share my story and what I'm doing. I have good news for you. If you are scared to do this, and I was super freaked out, I did not want to see the reality. I just didn't want to see it. If you are scared to do this, go ahead and do it. And the good news is you are in the best industry possible to make an impact quickly, because we do it's a good income, high income industry. And I can share with you guys that I was negative. My net worth was negative 149,000 when I first did it. It was about 3 years ago. And I can share that I hit a huge milestone this spring, about 2.5 years. And that milestone, it took 2.5 years to get to that milestone. My prediction is it'll take a year, 18 months to get to the next milestone. It'll take 12 months to get to the next one, 6 months to get to the next one, 3 months to get to the next one.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So I really encourage it. It's another thing I'm passionate about. With that said, where do you find people get tripped up on this, Debbie? I'm just going to kind of scoot through some of the slides on here.
Number one, not actually, it's shocking how many times someone will come to us for coaching and I'll say, well, what is your monthly overhead? Personal and business, and they actually have no idea.
Right. I think you're right. I think it's
they don't have a great CPA that they're consulting with to say, how much should I be putting away in taxes? I think as you finish your plan, talk to your CPA and say, this is what I intend to earn next year. What are the strategies I need to do to get ahead of it? And then speak to that CPA at the end of each quarter, right? Because at the end of each quarter, you can say, here's where I'm at, here's what's pending, here's where I'm going to be. It's just a short phone call, right? But your taxes are a little out of control right now. It's a crazy time with that. And if you're not careful, you're going to end up at the end of the year, you're going to owe a lot and you're not going to be ready for that. So I think that's important. Debt, we all have things we want to do and want to buy. I always think, all right, if by chance, I think I'm a pessimistic optimist, right? So I prepare for the worst and expect the best. So I always think if in any given time, something happens, the market crashes, something crazy happens, I don't want to be living at the top edge of what I can earn in the best of times, right? So that's where I want to keep that debt under control, right? And keep an eye on that.
And for those, a lot of you guys, I know you personally are starting to buy real estate investment property. I just want to go back to something Debbie said. We now have started work with your accountant on that, because we were shocked at how easy it was to convert things into LLCs. And we now have a series of LLCs that's helping with a couple different things. And there are some ways you can pay your kids through LLCs to be legitimate employees. And there's a lot. Be in contact with your accountant. I find we actually have like a tax strategist. He's not technically an accountant. And I find that he's really helpful and good, but we have to proactively be the ones to reach out to him. And I've just given up like throwing up my hands on that. Like they're not going to call you proactively.
Right.
They just can't read your mind. They don't know what you're doing. So I agree with you, Debbie. Like you have to be the one to initiate those calls and say, hey, this is what we're thinking. And what happens is 2, 3, 4, 5 years, the strategy starts layering on top of each other. And then you're set up pretty well. So don't get too far ahead without keeping in touch.
Don't get too far ahead. Talk to your CPA, track your net worth. It's encouraging to see the progress. It
really is.
Really, I know our time is short. So I guess I would say one of the last thoughts on this Vija would be that, let's say, for an example, someone is with us here today and they are going to earn $500,000 next year. That's their huge goal, and they can achieve that. And let's say they've done a great job with their money and their personal annual expenses, their business expenses, taxes, and now they're looking at this going, wow, I'm going to have a leftover profit of $250,000. So here's an interesting thing. After 20 years of coaching people, that I have discovered that you can often become complacent when you're earning enough to support the current life that you have, which is exactly why I encourage you to spend the rest on paper. Now, back in the day, brokers used to say, get them in debt, they'll earn more.
I remember that. No,
I don't like that. It's because stress makes you not produce better.
Not good.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Horrible.
So I'm not talking about going again and buying a mansion and a yacht and a fur coat. I'm talking about saying, okay, if I have 250,000 extra, let's go back to my big why. Okay, do I need to set up a college account for my kids? Do I want to pay off a credit card? Do I want to take the family on the vacation we haven't had forever? It feels like. So what am I going to do with that money? So you create that desire, that passion, and maybe it's giving to your church, whatever it is that matters to you. And then again, going back to those supportive people in your life and saying, hey, honey, look what we're going to do when I earn this extra 250, because then your honey is going to be disappointed when you don't do that, right? And hopefully you would be disappointed as well. So you've got to create that purpose. Maybe that's a better word than need. What is that purpose where you can say, wow, if it's, December 31st, and it's the end of 2022, and I'm looking back at all of these things I accomplished and all of the financial accomplishments, wow, now that was a successful year, right? And
I love that. And it reminds me of, what I love Ben's 5 buckets that he always talks about. And because I think you're right, like it's, what do you do with the excess and with lack of clarity? What was the Yogi Berra quote? If you don't know where you're going, you'll get there. Right. And so Ben's 5 buckets are, take whatever you have left over. It could be $10,000. It could be $500,000, and put them into 5 buckets. Liquid reserves, right? We always want 4, 6, 8 months in liquid reserves for our stress level. That is first, everybody. That is first. Right. You always want to do that. Number 2, hard assets, real estate investments, right? And for a lot of us, that's a little more than 20% of our portfolios. And I understand that. Number 3, invested in businesses. A lot of you are going to do it in your own, but you can also invest in others. Number 4, financial instruments. The stock market has been insane, but it could be crypto now. There's a lot of things you can do. You take 20% and play around with it in crypto if you want. And then number 5, give it away, right? Give a certain percentage away. Some of us tithe, that's 10%. But, if you take this and you say 20% for each category, I love that. I'm a big fan of the 5 buckets, and it's exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
And if you have children entering your business, please teach them, as I did with our daughters, put the money away, save for taxes, don't spend it all, do them that favor, do your monthly visit your money, right? Teach your children to do that, give them great books to read. And then, I wrote a little book, Secrets of Super Salespeople. Why do 80% fail to achieve their goal and how not to be one of them? And I actually wrote it for my daughters when they got their real estate license. So if any of you would like to have the audiobook and the PDF, just email me. It's just a fun little 10 chapters. And the reason I mention it is back to that skill evaluation. I actually took that and put action steps, potential action steps under each of the categories. So if you'd like a copy, just shoot me an email, Debbie@forwardcoaching.com. Say, send me the book, and my team will be aware of which book you're talking about. And we will get that out to you, just to say thank you to Vija for inviting us and for all of you being with us today. So
yeah, and speaking of saying thank you, would you mind sharing with everybody, what forward coaching is before we sign off with you? And by the way, everybody, I want you to stick around it's not going to take long, 15, 20 minutes, and we're going to get super tactical. And I'm going to give you a couple tools that your team, that you can have. And by the way, anything we do is on benkinneyagenttraining.com. You can download anything that you ever see on these webinars. But Debbie, why don't you tell us a little bit about forward coaching?
Well, I will certainly make it quick. You guys have a lot to do. We are dedicated to custom coaching because we know there are no two agents, teams, brokers, brands that are alike. So I have, I think, some of the most phenomenal, talented, passionate coaches with deep, deep years in the real estate industry. You can see there, we have no contract. And if you think that, this is a time for me to explore how coaching works, we do not have boiler room people out there trying to get you to sign a contract and get your money. You would talk to me. You go to that Debbie@forwardcoaching.com and say, I would like to have a conversation about how coaching would work. A customer service representative from my team, I have 3 awesome people, would reach out and say, let me write down what your goals are. Let me give you a couple of simple things to fill out for Debbie. I love to have you take a DISC assessment or send me your KPA. We like to understand you so that we can help you craft that unique plan. And then at the end of that conversation, if you think we're a fit, I am the only person here that chooses your coach very strategically, and I guarantee the match. So we'll have lots of fun together. Some of you may know I was Ben's coach back in the day. And boy, was that boy a handful.
You were my coach too. I think you coached us at the same time.
All the good ones. All the good ones are
handfuls. You can say it. That's okay.
Absolutely.
I can handle that.
Thank you so much. I'm going to turn
Thank you, Debbie.
Goodbye, guys. And hey,
thank you.
Remember, New Year starts today, right, guys?
We appreciate you, everybody. And stay tuned. We're going to have a little intermission and then come back really briefly. Thanks, everyone. Hey, everybody. That was so great to go through all that with Debbie DeGroat. I'm just going to be really brief. I want to just take some of what we learned with Debbie, and I want to kind of show you how you can use our tools that we have to enhance them. And I think kind of simplify some of that. These tools that I'm about to show you are all, you should have received them if you registered for this webinar on your email. You can always get our stuff, and these are all uploaded right now for you at benkinneyagenttraining.com. And also the person if you're in one of our market centers or with one of our agents right now, they should be able to give it to you too. A lot of us here at Ben Kinney Companies and Keller Williams use these tools I'm about to show you. I personally use all of them. So remember way back in the beginning where we were talking about how many homes it takes to sell, how many homes you need to sell to hit the income you wanted. And we were kind of working on that, one of the very first worksheets. So really briefly, just want to show you what you have. I created this years ago, is you have a calculator you can use. It's really great. It's the Economic Model On Target Earning Calculator. And how this works is kind of wonky. Go down to the very bottom. You start at the bottom and you work your way up. Anything in yellow you can fill out. Anything in white, don't touch, because there's formulas in there. So you type in here what you want to make. That's the first number you put in. So say you want to make $125,000 this year, right? And then you go up and you say, well, what do I think my average sales price on the listing side is going to be? Listings are over here. And what do I think it's going to be on the buy side over here? You can see this was filled out from someone. So I think to be safe, we'll just put 500 on the listing side, and maybe we'll put 400 on the buy side. You can put in whatever number you want. By the way, for you really, you Excel geeks out there like I am, this is Google Sheets. This is based on, let me just add, I typically recommend that you don't base your planning on a 3% commission. I suggest that you base it on a 2.5% combination of discounted. Sellers are not always paying 3% SOC. Sometimes we have referral fees behind it. So you can tweak this how you want. If you want to tweak the formulas, I'll set these at 2.5%. So these are set at 2.5% average commission. You can change the prices on the yellow. And then you need to look at your balance. Do you think you're going to do 40% buyers and maybe 60% listings? Who knows? Whatever you want to plug in there. For every listing you take, what percentage of those do you think will sell? Well, I think Debbie's right. I'm going to change that to 95%. Buyers, on the other hand, it's lower. It's a lot harder for buyers to get houses right now. And the last thing you want to put up here is, for every person you meet with, what percentage of what's the likelihood that they're going to sign an agreement with you, either a listing agreement or a buyer agreement, right? So, you can put whatever you want up here. And when you fill all that out, it tells you how many homes you need to sell. And more importantly, it takes you, how many buyer appointments and listing appointments you need to take. And, that's down here. Sorry. Buyer listings taken. And then how many listings you need to take each year. And then it kind of works its way down. And so it starts giving you the numbers, and you can play with this calculator. I play with it all the time. I do it throughout the year to kind of say, okay, what's left? And then, what are my activities? And then I take this, and then I go to the next thing I'm going to show you, and I do what's called my GPS. And GPS is goals, priorities, strategies, right? We used to call it a 135. I don't call it that anymore because I find it's a framework. So sometimes it's a 146, sometimes it's a 153. The point of it is that you set one goal, and then you set 3-ish strategies. And I don't know, that has to be 3. And then about 5, one goal, 3 priorities, and about 5 strategies underneath each priority. What I recommend you do is you write your goal in a full, complete sentence. And what I mean by that is you have unit count here, volume here, and GCI. You have all 3. I call it the trifecta. And then I recommend that you do priority 1 is your buy side. Priority 2 is your list side. Priority 3 is, what I would loosely call your be, do, have. Who do you need to hire? What do you need to learn? Do you need to go to classes? Do you need to add tech? Do you need to read books? Whatever you need to do. When you go back to your priorities, what you want to do is reverse engineer out what you did on the economic calculator. So if you said, in this case, they want to sell 36 properties. So if you want to have a 50-50 business, and that would be 18 buy sides and 18 listing sides, then just reverse back and say, where are they going to come from? That's the focusing question. Where are my 18 buy sides going to come from? And you just list the sources, right? And then you list, here. I actually like it when these numbers add up to higher than this number. I don't want the math to work, right? Overshoot it down here so that when you're working your plan, you're kind of overshooting first-time buyer classes, overshooting internet leads, whatever it is. The numbers don't have to match down below. They should be higher, in my opinion. And that's all you're doing. You're just kind of backing out and reverse prospecting and kind of going through what you think you need, which leads me to my next tool. Once I did the economic calculator, this is really how I do all my stuff. This is how I do all my coaching. If I ever coach you, you recognize this. So we go straight to the 135 and we work on the 135. Then we go to what we call the 411. And the 411 is how we translate the GPS onto your calendar and onto your awareness. And this is how this is the working document that you use to work the plan every week. So I recommend Sundays. And then the last Sunday of whatever month you're on, even if the next month is going to start the next day, or if the next month is going to start the following Saturday, then you do your monthly planning. And then every Sunday you're doing your weekly planning. And the idea of the 411 is that you put your annual goals. I always use 4 categories. So you can see I have company, team, my personal role, in my case, financial, personal health. And then what we do here is we put our annual goals, which we got from the GPS. So you should have a GPS for each of these things, right? And then what you say is well, if I want to sell 36 homes, and I've got some seasonality in there, I probably need to sell, 2 units, right? In January-ish. I'm monthly, 2 units in January, probably. And then I might need to sell, 3 units in February, and so on and so forth. So you go and you break it down and you put your monthly goal here, right? And then every single week when you're doing your planning, this is where you're putting your weekly priorities here. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. And this is what I make sure every single week gets reflected on my calendar, guys. This is how I know and I stay focused, because I say, these are the activities I have to do to hit the monthly goal, and I have to hit the monthly goal to hit the yearly goal. So that I love the 411. It took me a long time to kind of embrace using it, because I think it felt a little bit cumbersome and confusing at first, but it's really great. And it'll kind of change your world and change your productivity if you use it. I also wanted to show you, I'm just trying to find it up here. The net worth stuff in our business planning workbook is great. It's great because you can take a pen and you can write it out there. What I use and what I really recommend using is the Win, Make, Give spreadsheets. And you can get the Win, Make, Give spreadsheets. You go to winmakegive.com right here. You just go to Win, Make, Give, and you go to resources, download resources. And you can see, I fill it out so much it has me. And then you just download it here. And what you get is this, and you get a whole bunch of really cool stuff. You can see down here, there's all sorts of different tabs. The net worth tracker changed my life. Once I started tracking my net worth, it became it's absolutely addicting to see how that increases. It's amazing. It's really a game changer, and I highly recommend it. So I do recommend do it in paper if that really helps you, or you can come straight to the spreadsheet. Either way, if you haven't done it yet, I cannot recommend enough. Please listen to Ben's wealth series on his Win, Make, Give podcast, where he will walk you through how to do all this methodically. It's amazing. It would be great to do between now and the end of the year. It'll change your life if you do it between now and the end of the year. It'll change your focus in 2022, especially if you do it with your spouse. I highly recommend, or your significant other. So I just kind of wanted to show you that it's here. He has this really cool thing that you can see. I filled it out, but 5 homes in 30 years. He just has really, really cool things in here. The last thing I wanted to show you is where to go. I don't know, maybe not. I may not have it anymore. There is an advanced, here it is. It's right in front of me. This is the advanced net worth tracker. And I finally did have to move to this one because as your finances get a little more complicated, the simple tracker that's in the basic downloadable wasn't cutting it anymore. And you can get this in the same place is here. So the advanced tracker is a little bit different, and it's you basically put, this is cash, so you fill out everything now on tabs. In my investments, I put in my assets. So what happens is you start buying real estate, and you start listing all the addresses is what starts happening, and you start adding them in here, and then they all add up to on the summary sheet, right? So they all carry over here. So I've been using the advanced tracker now for the last couple of years, but I started on the basic one. So that is it. If there's ever anything I can do to help you, please reach out to me. I love this stuff. I love coaching to it. I love helping people plan and work their plan. And I know a lot of you guys I coach already. Most of the time it's just once or twice to get you kind of started. And then some of you will come back and touch base with me. But if you truly, truly dedicate the time to do everything that you've learned today, I promise you'll see results. I do. And if you tell somebody else about it on top of it, I double promise you will see results. So thank you very much for devoting the time to me, to Debbie, to all of us at Ben Kinney Companies, to your leadership, to plan a better future. And I hope that right now, when I sign off here in a minute, that you go and you devote the time that you need to plan for your future. Have a great day, everybody. Happy 2022.